thing.
I need you back here right now. I need you.
Okay, baby, just calm down, sweetheart. Calm down.
Tell me to calm down.
You're breaking up.
Welcome, everybody, to the Justus Nerds League show. My name is Elvis.
I'm Jesus.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are going to be reviewing the latest installment in Ridley Scott's Alien movies, Alien Covenant. Jesus, you want to give us a quick synopsis about what this movie's about?
Yeah, just a quick synopsis is this movie is pretty much a colony mission. We have a crew aboard the spacecraft, the Covenant, and they're heading towards a planet called Orgai 6. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they're pretty much ready to recolonize, repopulate, and just start over. And then they get a mysterious message from another planet, which happens to be a better planet to live on. Mm-hmm. So the crew decides to go there, and there's a whole mystery behind that and everything else, and pretty much plays out like that.
Yep.
So just start off with pros. Mike, were your questions answered?
Yeah, getting into the non-spoiler territory, the pros. There's a lot of pros here. Mm-hmm. It was a good bridge between Prometheus and Aliens as far as the horror and suspense. I think it did a good bridging those lines. It wasn't all horror, wasn't all suspense. Mm-hmm. It really stayed on theme with Prometheus, I thought, from some level. And it also stayed on theme with Aliens as far as what they can and can't do. So I like that part. Michael Fassbender's a pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
He brings it. I mean, he's an intense actor. He's also studied in like his behavior and his physical mannerisms. I thought he brought that character, and I mean, it's not a spoiler. He plays a synthetic.
Android.
Thank you. Yeah, he plays that synthetic. I was going to call him android, but they call him synthetic in that movie. Yeah. And even the way he walks and moves and portrays himself. I mean, he really just brings that character.
He's really good at playing a robot.
He is, but I mean, it's a real technique. You can't go full robot, right? Yeah. I mean, you have to walk like a human, and that's what was really interesting. Yep. There was a lot of throwback quotes to the original Aliens movies. Yeah, I don't know if everybody caught that, but there's a lot of throwback quotes, and other Ridley Scott movies. So a lot of good pros there. Yeah. The landscapes were amazing. I think Ridley Scott does a great job of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He really brings you to a new world. He did that in Prometheus very well. He did that again here. And again, I have a lot of good quotes, a lot of good pros for this. But, that's just my quick synopsis for non-spoilers right now. How about you, Elvis?
To go into some of my pros, I would say probably one of my first pros would probably be definitely the visual effects. The visual effects and also the combination of the visual effects and the practical effects. Because inside of the ship, that was like you could tell that was like a spaceship, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like where it was more CGI, like maybe like the prequels, you know what I'm talking about? Where that's my Star Wars reference for the day, just so you guys know.
Just take a shot.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely the practical effects, like the ships, like everything they rode in, like the Prometheus, like the first ship, when you see it when they're walking inside, like it just all looks like it's real, like you're there with them. The visual effects, like oh man, like and speaking of the visual effects and also practical, was the xenomorph.
Yeah.
The xenomorph looked amazing. And there was a guy in the suit, but you can also see, like, when it was CGI, I was like, wow, that was a good mix. So I think Ridley Scott really did a great job mixing both of them and making it work, not going too much one way or the other. So that's one of my pros. I would agree with you. Michael Fassbender is definitely one of a big pro for this movie. Playing one, but not only one, but two synthetics, it was pretty crazy, but it was pretty great that you see Michael Fassbender playing two, and also they weren't like the same exactly robot. They were two different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like everybody know that was Walter and it was David, but
yeah,
that was a couple of my pros.
You see that in trailers, yeah.
You see it. So those are my pros. What about you, Jesus?
Yeah, my pros. Just taking from where you guys said the practical effects and the CGI. I love how they brought back the suspense / horror from the previous Alien films. I thought Ridley Scott did a really good job doing that. Another pro is Michael Fassbender and Danny McBride. I really thought Danny McBride was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
It's I remember like a lot of complaints saying like, oh, Danny McBride's in this movie, why? But when you see the movie, you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, and I also like the mystery behind this movie. Also, the Aliens 1 and Aliens 2, there was a mystery why stuff was happening and all that stuff. And in this movie, like you're wondering like why are they here? What's going on? And I feel like the mystery behind all that stuff is really good. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of something else. And the cinematography also, like you said, Ridley Scott's a fantastic director. He knows how to do, he knows how to take shots of like everything.
Wide shots.
Yeah, wide shots, background, everything, the scenery, the lore. He really knows how to make an immersive world. So
yeah,
those are my pros. So
what'd you guys think of the lead actress, Daniels? That was her character name. But
was that her name? Yeah, Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels. I didn't like her as much.
Yeah.
She was kind of hit or miss with me.
Yeah, like with her, it's so hard to live up to Sigourney Weaver. Like she was nominated for an Oscar for Aliens 2.
I know.
I feel like it was a ripoff, kind of.
Yeah,
they literally gave her the same haircut and everything.
Yeah, I know.
It's not for me. Sometimes it was believable. Like okay, I could see her being a badass, but then other times, she'd go back to being not so badass. I'm just like
that's a good point. They put in a couple points where she was like a badass, and then other points she wasn't. And that's a really good, because how do you follow up with Sigourney Weaver in that movie? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, I agree with you guys. That was tough, but I had to ask because I kind of put that as a question mark here. I didn't know how to rank her yet. I don't think she was a pro, and she definitely wasn't a con either.
Yeah,
I mean, I just wanted you guys' opinion on that.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk. We didn't, just so your audience knows, we didn't talk about this movie at all. We literally left the theater and we all went our separate ways. We know we would talk. Yeah, we didn't even say goodbye. Like, nope. We will talk. So we had to disperse immediately.
I know. I felt so lonely. I was like alone. I'm like, whoa, talking to the wall right here.
Yeah. We know we will talk about it right away.
I was like, no, I was going to have to grab somebody and just start talking to them.
We even went like silent on our cell phones without texting.
Yeah. I'm telling you. But I guess we could start heading into a little bit of our cons then, huh?
Yeah,
we can go a little bit of cons, non-spoiler cons, of course. Like we're not going to spoiler territory yet. So if you're still listening, don't worry about it. We'll let you guys know when we go into deep spoilers. But Jesus, what are some cons for you?
Some cons for me were, how do I put this without spoiling?
It's tough, right?
I guess towards the end. Mm-hmm. That's
don't go towards the end yet. That's deep.
Is there another one?
All right, another one is some of the supporting cast members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I felt some of them were not really fleshed out. I feel like the prologues before they released the movie, that was their way of like fleshing out the characters. Mm-hmm. But still, like, I mean, who's gonna watch the prologues?
Yeah, you want to go to the movie.
Yeah,
and
like
watch
sometimes
them.
you want to stay away from the trailer so there won't be any spoilers. Mm-hmm. But like, I felt like some of the supporting cast members were a little weak in my opinion. And then
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Mike. What do you think? I'm trying not to spoil it. So.
I have a hard time with the non-spoilers. For me, I think the story got a little slow at points.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think when it gets slow, is it building the suspense? Like, there's a purpose to it being slow. Is it building up to something coming? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And there's a payoff. That's a good point. And this one, it wasn't always that way. It also, the other thing for me is that I don't know if it necessarily brought anything new to the storyline. Mm-hmm. Like, did it bring anything new? And I don't think it did, other than it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything, could you really say that after watching this, because it's supposed to be a trilogy, right? So knowing that it's supposed to be a trilogy, and these slow points, like, did it build up? Was that beneficial to the whole movie? I don't know. And that's what, there was a couple slow points, I guess, is my point. And that's a con without trying to ruin it. I was waiting. I did really like and they showed this in the preview when they showed, this is wheat, right?
Yeah.
And they showed a couple other scenes that were really slow, but they were like, there's no other animals around here, right? Yeah. So you're right. There was mystery there, and that's relevant to all the Alien movies, but it was also really slow. Okay, what is the build up for? What is the purpose? That's as far as I can go as far as cons too, without spoiling it. How about you, Elvis?
For me, I would say, without spoiling, a con was at some points, like how you said, this movie, I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be exactly. Did it want to be a sequel to Prometheus, or did it want to be a part of a new trilogy as an Alien movie? Mm-hmm. I feel like maybe like halfway through the movie, you're like, okay, this is more of a Prometheus movie. They explain a lot what happened. You get some questions answered, of course. but then like out of nowhere, I feel like it just jumps to, okay, here's aliens. Here's like the different types of aliens there are now, and it's just like, okay, so everything you just said before, it was like, okay, well that's out. That we already explained it. No more. We don't care about that anymore. So then it was like, I was kind of, it put me off a little bit where I was like, I don't know if this is working for me. Like I was just questioning a lot, and I don't want to be questioning while I'm watching a movie. I want to know exactly what I'm watching.
Right. So
that was I would say that's a big con for me, but I mean,
it didn't really have that linear storyline.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So that was a main con for me, but I mean, it's hard to go into anything else more.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you want this to be like the last of the non-spoilers?
Yeah, let's head into spoiler territory.
All right.
So just so you guys know, we're heading right into spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you're still listening, we're warning you. Go watch it and come back.
And we have big news at the end, so make sure you come back.
Yeah, don't forget that. We're definitely gonna have some big news. So
come back.
Stay tuned. Either way, you're gonna come back.
Or else Elvis will cry.
Yep. All right. So do you want to start off with some more pros, going in more depth?
Yeah, just finally, some pros that I really like the movie. It's the mystery. Like I said, was really good. Cinematography. I really like Michael Fassbender's character as Walter, even though his southern accent was kind of...
It was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, well, it was a little strong, right?
It was like
proper.
It was like Idris Elba's southern accent. It was
you forgot sometimes because I was like, he was going back to his English accent.
It was very proper.
Yeah.
It was like weird.
I was like, I don't think a southern accent works for that.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I really thought Michael Fassbender was really good in this movie, as playing as Walter and David. It's sort of like... how do sometimes it's like sort of biblical with this movie. Like, you can tell Ridley Scott is really interested in the God complex and creation, all that stuff, evolution.
Yeah, that's a
genetics.
really good point.
That's why the whole mystery behind it, like with Elizabeth Shaw, what happened to her and all that stuff. And I feel like they didn't necessarily show what happened, but they kind of
They did though. Like there were some subtle references.
There was, yeah.
The anatomy reference. They showed you have to catch. I mean, that's to your point. There was a lot of subtle things.
Yeah. Other than that, the whole world itself, it was really immersive. It was really. You could tell who was the guy that did the artwork for the movie? I forgot. He's really big. Whoever that guy is, he did a really great job on creating the artwork and all that stuff. And the whole even the beginning with Guy Ritchie. Is it not Guy Ritchie?
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, yeah.
Yep.
In the beginning, you could tell the back and forth between him and David. I am your creator and you're my creation. But then David is learning right there. He's like, you're human. You won't die.
Yeah. How are you better than me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, some lines from that movie is, "I am your father."
Yeah.
Of course, Star Wars.
Of course.
But
and the fingering part.
The thing, man.
That was I was like, Michael, I'm like, did you not watch the movie over again? Because I was literally, he's like, I'll do the fingering, and it was like, it was
flute scene.
You could have said I'll do the notes or something like that, where it was just okay.
I did like the interaction between them though at first, the back and forth, one's teaching the other about life and all that stuff, and one's just it's my duty to do all this stuff.
Yeah, and one's updating, Walter was updating, look, we've done this since your model, because your model was a little too human. And they wanted to go more down a robotic, synthetic path, you know?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I also like the frantic pace, when these xenomorphs or whatever, the neomorphs were.
The neomorphs.
Is that what
they
they're
were
called?
Neomorphs at first.
Yeah. When they first appear and all that stuff, and the pandemonium, the franticness and all that stuff, and you see people panicking and all that stuff, you're really immersed with it. Mm-hmm. When they're both the two ladies are on that ship and all that stuff, and that guy's having a back spasm in a way. That thing comes out of them, the fear in their eyes. It was really believable to me. It was, and other than that, Mike, what do you think? What are your pros?
I have to build off of what you said. I think. Again, Michael Fassbender really made you believe that Walter and David were two separate people. Mm-hmm. And that takes a fantastic actor to do that, both with his voice, but also with his physicality, right? With how he walks, how he talks, how he behaves, his pace, his movements, everything about what he did with those two characters were completely different. And even when they interacted with each other, he was so on point.